Before we begin, I want to thank you all for the support this channel has been receiving in the previous weeks, especially my live streams here on YouTube. I have been playing Gran Turismo 4 Randomizer and it's been a lot of fun, as long as I don't have to do any rally races. I also want to thank my supporters at Patreon. We are getting closer to our goal of 50 Patreons, where I will tackle an endurance race with classic cars in my own Gran Turismo 4 Randomizer run. If you wish to support my YouTube endeavors, consider joining my Patreon. The link is in the description. Now, I hope you enjoy the next video. With so many Need for Speed titles, everyone has their memories of specific moments which presented a major challenge. In my case, we have to go back into the early days with Need for Speed 3 Hot Pursuit. This game hides one of the most cursed championships ever created, the Expert Knockout, a championship where the last racer on each race is eliminated until one remains, and everything is randomized. Daytime, weather, and even the layout of the circuit. These paired with opponents who are absolutely cracked. Will I be able to close this page of childhood trauma? Let's find out. The game is clever and it lures me into a false sense of confidence with the first race. Hometown is the easiest circuit in the roster. Most of the lap is done at full throttle given it's mostly composed by straights and wide corners. I have a good start to my championship as nothing was randomized this time, which is a good opportunity to show how cracked the AI opponents are. While we are driving the same car, the Jaguar XJR15, theirs have an extra advantage in the shape of rubber banding. They carry more speed than I can through the corners as well. Even these back markers, which only serve as filler, present a roadblock as my real opponent pulls away. See this little purple dot who's comfortably leading the race? Meet Ice, the most busted AI driver you will ever see. He sits a tier above the rest of my opponents. I need to drive perfect in order to have a chance of winning any races. Luckily, I don't have to win every single race, so my strategy for this first race is climbing as many positions as I can. By the start of the second lap, I made my way towards 5th place, with my next opponent on striking distance, who doesn't manage to defend itself, granting me 4th place. The next 3 cars are faster than the rest and I only have this lap to overtake them. The gap between us does shorten as we enter the town, an area where I have an advantage as the AI cannot handle this 90-degree turn, where they brake too hard. Their mistake is my profit as I perform a double overtake, going from 4th to 2nd. My exit could have been better, almost putting my gains in risk, in true Yellowbird fashion. By now, Ice has pulled away and I have no chance of catching up, given this race is almost over. Still, from 8th to 2nd is remarkable. I'll have a chance to battle with Ice in the next race, unless a catastrophic storm takes place and we race at night. But what are the odds of that happening? 100%. The second race at Red Rock Ridge starts to show the insanity of this challenge. Rain does exactly what you expect, lowering overall grip through the circuit, but I want to focus on daytime. Driving at night in this game is a challenge as visibility is severely reduced. I remain in 2nd place through the first corners. The wet tarmac plays against Ice who goes wide. This small mistake allows me to stay right behind and attempt to overtake the purple XJR. Well, more trying to take him out of the race. My attempt isn't successful as the rest of the pack catches up to us, where an AI opponent crashes into Ice, forcing him into a solid Cactus, while I lose 2 positions and settle on 3rd place. This section is difficult as there are multiple rocks in the middle of the road, a road with different weaving turns which are hard to follow with limited visibility. By the end of this section I managed to overtake Blazing, moving into 2nd place, but this jump says otherwise. I swear, jumps in this game are beyond annoying as you have to take them with a perfect line, otherwise you'll fly into a wall as I did here. Goes without saying, this little mistake will cost me a few positions, dropping to 6th place. That is a tough pill to swallow, but there is a small saving grace in the circuit. Shortly after this section, there is a hairpin which I can cut with a creative racing line. There is a small gap where I can turn earlier than my opponents and I managed to gain 2 positions. It's time to make my way back into the podium as the following section is composed of really fast corners. My lines aren't the best through them, but I managed to remain close until we reach a tunnel, where my opponent slides through the tarmac and I shorten the gap between us, to the point where I managed to overtake after the jump at the end of this tunnel. These jumps are ridiculous. You You won't find them even on a rally stage. And yes, I did crash into my opponent after landing. No way I will lose this position. This white Jaguar says otherwise. He just pushes into me, the same way you should push the like button. This is a huge blow to my efforts as the rest of the pack catches up to me, losing all of my hard work, until Ice tries to overtake me. I just see my opportunity and tap him. We both go straight into the sand. I need to get out of here now. Yes, I did it. I left Ice in the final spot. The most broken opponent has a chance of being eliminated at the end of this race. That is, if I don't end up last instead. Ice has a really strong base and it recovers in no time. We reach the hairpin where I make use of my creative racing lines yet again to gain some breathing room, as brief as it might be. I have to say, these tracks are well designed for arcade racing. They are wide and fast, but they still require a level of skill by memorizing lines and braking at certain spots to make each turn. Each circuit has their own character as well. In Red Rock Ridge, these tall canyon surroundings can make it feel rather claustrophobic at high speed, and this effect is amplified during nighttime. My pace is pretty solid as I have 3 cars ahead of me. Given we are in the final section of the track, it will be nice to overtake at least one of them. Despite my best efforts, I can get past this small pack and I finish the race in 6th place, with Ice behind me. You heard that right, the most broken opponent was eliminated in the second race of the championship. I do admit I was lucky given Ice was at the right place at the right time, but I did lose a ton of positions, meaning I start the next race in last place yet again. The third race of the championship takes place at Rocky Pass, which takes place through mountain roads, totally different from the previous desert landscape. For one, this first section is composed of rather tight turns which can be difficult to tackle, even more so when it's nighttime. The random elements coming into play yet again. At least it's not raining this time. I'll take any improvements I can get. The first opponent who I overtake happens to be the Agent of Chaos who turned the last race into madness, the white Jaguar who doesn't present a challenge and falls to last place. By now the rest of the pack has pulled away and I'm struggling in this first section. The AI is faster through slower corners and jumps, so I need to get out of this area as quickly as possible. Lucky for me, the next section is composed by a narrow straight where I managed to reach top speed despite the somewhat difficult turns. By the end of the straight, the AI struggles with this 90-degree corner. Truth be told, they miss it entirely, paying homage to the average Need for Speed player. The next section of the track begins with a pretty steep downhill jump inside a tunnel which can be troublesome for those who aren't prepared. Losing control and touching those walls can be a disaster. We continue through the downhill section of Rocky Pass, composed of rather tight turns which are tricky, to the point where I briefly lose 4th place and I'm not gaining any ground on the opponents ahead. Right at the end of the lap, there's a small town which is full of jumps and can get pretty annoying. If you miss a jump, it's over, but I managed to keep it steady and finish the first lap, 8 seconds behind the leading Jaguar. The first section slows my pace down as I can't figure the appropriate lines through these tighter corners. It's really fun to drive through this track at night for me. Driving through a forest in the middle of the dark has a unique atmosphere to it. I mean, sure, some of you might think it's scary and there are monsters lurking in the shadows, but I appreciate the fact there's no lighting around the track. I don't remember any other games outside rally-focused simulators where night tracks are so well executed. Those were the days before Underground, where Need for Speed takes place in city centers rather than open roads. After making my way through the first section of the track, we enter this fast and narrow straight where I managed to gain some ground over Terror, the opponent who's currently on 3rd place. I am not sure if the AI can reach top speed here, which I find strange as I seem to approach opponents really quickly in this area. There's a window to overtake by the end of this straight and I surely take advantage of it, even if there's a bit of contact here. I swear it wasn't intentional, but I didn't have time to move. Still, 3rd place is mine as we enter the tunnel. There's a decent gap with both cars on the lead, even if there's a red Jaguar approaching from behind. These opponents have a really good pace and he's right behind me already. Even if the next set of corners provide a small break as these opponents struggle with the switchbacks, I still hold 3rd place as we enter the town area, which pretty much settles my result. The opponents cross the line and I finish the race in the podium. I can live with that. It's a decent position to start the next race. The 4th race of the championship takes place in Country Woods. The randomizer gods have blessed us with another night race and a circuit in reverse which can be a challenge for my memory. If this section of the circuit looks familiar, it might be because we have been here before. In Need for Speed 3, the final 4 tracks can be seen as alternative routes of the first 4. I know you haven't seen Atlantic basic on this video, but it exists. So they share a small area from previous tracks, in this case, Hometown. After spending a good week inside the fridge, I managed to overtake them both as we enter the tunnel, which has a pretty nasty jump at the entry. Touching the ceiling is a must. Explain those scratches to the paint shop. You have to be careful at the exit of this tunnel as there is a 90-degree corner after a short straight. Brake too late and you'll become an expensive barbecue, and we don't want to do that. A small tap is fine, however, and we enter a rather tight section. These turns seem wide, but they can be misleading as the edge of the road is full of snow, and it doesn't do wonders for your grip, but the AI doesn't seem to care as they are right behind me. God, there are so many 90-degree turns in here. This is worse than a parking test. I am rather surprised this track has such technical sections, to be honest. Most of the lap is spent through slower corners, which aren't the norm for this sort of racing game. Goes to show you can have an arcade racer with all sorts of tracks. This trend breaks in the final section of the track, where we go past a familiar set of wooden tunnels, wrapping the first lap in first place. By the second lap, the roof of my Jaguar XJR15 has lost all its paint as I enter the first tunnel again. It's good to be on the lead for a change. Being able to race without traffic is nice, and given how I've been fighting for positions through the entire championship, it's a welcome change of pace. Sure, I still have to maintain a cool head and not make any mistakes, but they aren't trying to overtake me all the time. They do manage to get closer when I approach the tighter section of this track. Those 90-degree turns are so satisfying to slide past, I have to admit. Given my good fortune and lack of skill, I make a mistake before the end of the race and tap a wall as I exit a corner. Terrible timing as my opponents are looking to capitalize and approach rather fast, but the final section of the track works in my favor, so I managed to hold my lead and cross the finish line in first place, the first victory of the run. I wasn't expecting to win this race, and it makes for a welcome surprise. We only have 4 opponents left in the championship and they are quite fast, so I do appreciating starting the next race in first place. The 5th race of the championship takes us to Lost Canyons. This is the first race I had during daytime in a long time, which is a welcome change of pace. The circuit is pretty tough and I don't remember it too well, an issue made worse thanks to the fact the randomizer gods have cursed me with a backwards track layout, which throws me right into the toughest section of the circuit right away. We have 3 different paths to follow, all of them at different heights. The worst part comes with how narrow each road is. The Jaguar barely fits in these lanes, which makes it rather difficult to drive. The proper line here is a complete mystery to me, and I take the path of least resistance. By the end I totally throw it away and almost crash, which isn't good, but thank god this section is over and I'm still first, which is appreciated. The next section takes place inside a cave of sorts. It's pretty cool and detailed actually. Tight and narrow, which can be tricky if you aren't prepared for these corners. We head into the open road once again, where my opponents are starting to catch up. A perfect time to crash into a wall and throw my lead into the garbage. From first to last in a single corner. Time to climb through the ranks once again because it doesn't seem I belong in first place. Such is my life. I have to maintain my pace through wide and fast corners, which have to be chained in quick succession. There is no room for mistakes here, and I managed to climb into 3rd place once again. I am back into the podium as we meet a returning character in the shape of these rocks which divide the track. These were in Red Rock Ridge and now we can see them in all its glory, to the point where I scraped the edge of one of these rocks. I was pretty lucky, to be honest. After a few corners we start the final lap by crashing into a wall and losing some valuable seconds. The outstanding standards I hold myself for this channel. This isn't good as we approach once again to the toughest section of the track. This time I'm chasing 2 opponents. I am quite far from them and I would like to get closer at the very least. Good thing I managed to get into the groove of these corners quite fast and maintain my speed quite well, to the point where I managed to close the gap with the leading opponents who are flying all over the circuit as well. Guess I'm not the only one with skill issues. I managed to overtake Terror at the exit of the cave, making my way into 2nd place with a tiny bit of contact. We do have a small back and forth through the race, but I still hold my position without an issue. Despite my best efforts, Bullet holds the lead and it's too far away from me to overtake, so I finished the race in 2nd place. Not bad as I'm still in the championship, even if I would have liked to win the race, but I still have a good position to fight for the lead as there will be only 3 of us in the next race. Surely there won't be any catastrophic events which destroy my run. Oh, fuck off. Welcome to the summit, the toughest track in the entire game. At night, backwards, and snowfall, which replaces rain in the circuit. How cursed can this raid be? Give me a break. Good god, I don't even remember this track at all, which is why I drive with caution as the race starts, something which Bullet in the lead doesn't believe in, heading straight into a light pole and granting me first place, which is nice as I have to sort a pair of really tight corners through this snow-coated town. The next section is composed by a set of really slow 90-degree turns as the track goes uphill, followed by a long tunnel which has some steep turning as well. The AI catches up to me already, showcasing their busted rubber band. The following section is tricky as it has some narrow yet really fast corners where my pace is worse than the AI who's trailing behind me. All it takes is a little mistake for them to go past and leave me in last place. If I finish this race last, the championship is lost. It will be nice if my opponents had issues with this circuit as well, just like crashing into a wall. Oh, that works. Thanks, Bullet. Terror is about to experience the same emotion describing his name as I overtake him in the following section without many issues. However, we remained all packed together for the following straightaway. I will like to gain some distance with these opponents, to be honest, as I don't trust my driving skills in this circuit. Well, it goes to show as the AI makes a really clean overtake and I take last place once again. Time to start fighting for my lead once again as I have to get past Terror and his orange Jaguar once again. He doesn't manage to put up a fight, which is good as I can focus on taking the lead once again, unless I meet a wall and my smoking car wreck blocks Terror from overtaking me, meaning I still hold second place despite my accident. Now I won't have a chance to fight for the lead in this race, but I still have a chance of surviving until the final race of the championship, which I will gladly take. I hold second place through this downhill section of the track, which takes us into the final lap of the race. I managed to have a clean run through the town and so does my opponents. No light poles this time. In fact, I managed to take solid lines through every tight corner, to the point where I managed to approach Bullet in the lead. Absolutely unexpected. He manages to pull away slightly through the tunnel. My chase falls apart at the exit of the tunnel, however, as I tap a wall and lose time, which is disappointing. The rest of the lap continues without many incidents, scoring a second place finish. I made it to the final race, which takes place in the secret track in Need for Speed 3, Empire City, where the randomizer gods have one final trick up its sleeve. This track has been mirrored. Yes, you probably never heard this before. This feature is simple. It plays a mirrored variant of the circuit where turns are heading the opposite way. A left turn becomes a right turn. It is beyond curse and it throws your memory into the garbage. It's better to become a goldfish for this situation. On top of it all, it's also in reverse, so we got two conditions put together. But this won't stop me. I want to close this page and get over my trauma. I deserve to sleep as well. I managed to make myself with the lead after the first corner where the opponent goes slightly wide. I managed to hold the lead as we go through this rather stunning circuit. This dark city is composed by all sorts of fast and slow sections and it isn't ridiculously long like the summit, which makes for a good change of pace. Bullet remains close to me through the second half of the circuit. This final section has a tricky area where the road is divided by concrete structures, where the wrong turn can end with a really expensive car wreck. With this rather concerning area sorted, I start the second lap on the lead, which goes past without major incidents really. The final lap is a good victory lap as I finally solved this childhood trauma by crossing the finish line in first place, unlocking the most broken car in the entire game. This is a challenge which tests your knowledge in every single circuit and then throws it through the window by randomizing the conditions of your race. This, when paired with an AI which is ridiculously fast, makes for a brutal tournament. If there's anything you should focus on, is eliminating Ice as soon as possible, because he won't give you a break. With that said, it's time to thank my supporters on Patreon for making this possible. We thank them as follows: or amateur racers, professional racers, and world champions: Blind Dev, See What Happens Racing UK, Whiskey Tuesday, Sundar Kiseli, Enzo Lassoniere, Raziel, Hunter Kaufman, Josh Big, and Aistin. If you wish to support my endeavors as these wonderful people have done, you can find a link to my Patreon in the description of this video. You can enjoy early access to my videos along with a special role in our Discord server, all of this starting at $3 a month. We also have a goal where if we reach 50 patrons, I will tackle the entire entirety of the 1000 Miles Championship in Gran Turismo 4 Randomizer, a playthrough I'm currently doing live here on YouTube. There are other projects in the horizon such as live streams of the 24-hour endurance races after we meet this goal. This will be tackled in multiple live stream sections. With that said, I hope you have enjoyed this video and left a like or a dislike if you didn't. Also, my voice sounds a bit different because my throat hurts, winter issues. I will see you all next time. Take care and bye for now.